You've heard the stories of the Nephilim, the giants that once walked among men. But what if that's only the surface? Ancient texts, like the Book of Enoch, speak of something even more disturbing. Not just giant offspring, but a wave of unnatural beings, born from the crossing of boundaries never meant to be crossed. The Watchers, 200 angels who fell from grace, didn't just take human women. They turned their eyes to animals, birds, beasts, crawling things. They altered nature itself, and what came from their hands was not life, but corruption. Creatures that were part man, part animal, beings that defied the image of creation. The ancient word is mating, but not in the way we understand it. It was a violation of boundaries, a manipulation of the code of life. According to Enoch, they selected 200 of each creature: donkeys, goats, rams, birds of the air, not for worship, but for experimentation. The result? Perversion, violence, monsters. Some would call them myth, but others might call them memory. We like to call them myths. Half man, half beast, centaurs, sirens, creatures with wings and claws and human eyes. But what if these weren't fantasies of ancient minds, but memories? Because long before these stories spread through Greece, Egypt, Mesopotamia, there was the Watchers' corruption. The Book of Enoch says they didn't just take humans, they took every kind of animal, and what they created could not be contained. In Greek legend, the centaur was born from a man and a spirit in disguise, a cloud made to look like a goddess. That story sounds strangely familiar. And the sirens? Not mermaids, but hybrids of bird and woman. Exactly the type of creature you'd expect if 200 birds were chosen for something unnatural. In Egypt, the gods had animal heads: falcon, jackal, crocodile, placed upon regal human forms, not drawn for style, but remembrance. Were these the creations of the Watchers? Not monsters, but beings so powerful, so strange, that ancient people bowed before them. Perhaps they weren't just hybrids. Perhaps they were gods, not by divinity, but by fear. The ancient flood. It's remembered in every culture. A world covered in water, a cleansing sent from above. But what if the flood wasn't meant for humanity? What if its true purpose was to wipe out something else entirely? The Book of Enoch makes it clear the world had become corrupted, not by mankind alone, but by what had been created through the Watchers. Beings with no soul, no divine spark, hybrids, abominations. The flood was not just judgment, it was containment, a reset of creation, but it didn't succeed. Genesis 6:4 leaves a strange trace. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also after that. Somehow, something survived. A bloodline, a fragment of the forbidden, perhaps hidden, perhaps waiting, and if so, their presence would echo through time in stories of shadowed creatures, half-human forms, things that live at the edge of our memory, in the corners of our world. They call them cryptids, Mothman, chupacabra, skinwalkers, shadowed beings, half seen in forests, deserts, and dark roads. No fossil record, no evolutionary path, just appearances. But look closer, and a pattern emerges. They're all hybrids, half man, half beast. Wings where there shouldn't be wings, eyes that burn red in the dark, bodies too large, too unnatural to belong to this world. In 1966, two couples in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, fled the woods, claiming they had seen a giant creature with 10-foot wings and glowing red eyes. The Mothman. Skeptics call it folklore. But why does it match the very pattern the Book of Enoch warned us about? Are these cryptids remnants of the ancient hybrids? Survivors of a world meant to be erased? Or are they something else entirely? Echoes, experiments, prototypes from a time when angels played God and opened doors they could not close. What we call monsters may be the byproduct of their legacy. Not extinct, not myth, just hidden. When the flood came, flesh was washed away. But what happens to a soul That was never meant to exist? The Book of Enoch offers an unsettling answer. It says the spirits of the Nephilim and all the hybrid creatures did not rise back to heaven. They were bound to the earth, restless, twisted, hungry. These disembodied spirits became what we now call demons, spirits without a place, children of a corrupted union, wandering between the worlds. And maybe that's why so many descriptions of demons resemble the hybrid forms of old. Horned heads, animal limbs, wings, hooves, snakes for hair, not symbols, memories. What if the terrifying creatures in ancient art weren't imaginations, but warnings, a way to tell us these spirits were once flesh, and they might wear flesh again? If these ancient beings were once worshipped as gods, if their hybrid creations walk the earth, and their spirits still roam the unseen, then we must ask, what truly separates myth from memory? Perhaps they never left. Perhaps they went underground, into the cracks of forgotten history, hiding in our symbols, our dreams, even our DNA. And maybe that's why they still appear, as shadows in the woods, as beings in sleep paralysis, as whispers in the mind. The ancients tried to warn us, but their stories became fables. Their scrolls became forbidden. And yet, the symbols remain, etched in temples, hidden in plain sight. The watchers, the hybrids, the ones who should not exist. They were never truly destroyed, only veiled, waiting for the world to forget and for the door to open again. The only question is, will we recognize them when they return?